السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. إن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious and most merciful. We praise Him, we seek His help and forgiveness. And peace and blessing of His final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, tonight we continue our journey with the hadith of Qulub al-Tazkiyah. And tonight we have a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam narrated by a great Sahabi. Let me stop by this name and we'll talk a little bit about this great Sahabi before we go into the hadith. The Sahabi name is Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari. Tamim al-Dari is a great Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So I'm just going to briefly go through his story, how he accepted Islam. And you'll be amazed if I tell you he was the only Sahabi that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam narrate from him. Normally we hear the Sahabi narrate from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But this particular Sahabi, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam narrate from him. He said, Tamim al-Dari told me. I'll tell you in details. So he was, his name is Tamim ibn Aus ibn Kharija, ينسب إلى الدار, وهو ولد في فلسطين. He was born in Palestine, and he was a priest, a righteous and a very dedicated priest before Islam, before he became a Muslim. So in the 9th years of the Hijrah, when he heard about the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to travel and meet the Prophet ﷺ to accept Islam. Okay? On his way to accept Islam, they stopped by an island in the middle of the sea. So they were on a boat, and the boat broke down, so they stopped by an island. And on the island, they've seen something. So when he met the Prophet ﷺ, he told him the story. What he saw, this is what the Prophet ﷺ told us what he saw. From Fatima bint Qais, and Rasulullah ﷺ جاء ذات يوم مسرعا. The Prophet ﷺ came one day in a hurry to the masjid, and he climbed the minbar and called people to come. Say as-salatu jami'a, meaning people come. Okay? People came. They heard the Prophet ﷺ calling them, they came. فقال يا أيها الناس إني لم أدعوكم لرغبة ولا لرهبة. I haven't called you for something to benefit, to bring you or to make you feel fear or upset. But Tamim al-Dari, this Sahabi that we're talking about, told me, this is the Prophet ﷺ telling us, that Tamim al-Dari told him that a few people from Palestine, they went on a journey on the sea, riding a ship, and then the waves keep rocking the ship until they reached that island. Then when they went into the island, they saw a beast. The beast was so hairy that they couldn't tell its face from its back, from its front. Its front from its back, or its face from its back. Okay? And they asked what it is. The beast responded. Okay? And they couldn't tell whether it is a male or female beast. So the beast responded when they asked, what are you? Out of the shock. What are you? The beast responded, أنا الجساسة. فقالوا أخبرينا. Tell us, what is this all about? She said, when it's replied, that I cannot tell you anything, but there is someone in that cave. He's eager to tell you and hear from you. Go and ask him. So they went inside the cave, and they found someone in the shackle, being in the chain. Alright? And they found him with one eye. And when they came in, he asked them question. He started asking this one, who are you? Man antum? Not the Qaddafi man antum. This one, man antum? قالوا نحن العرب. We are Arabian people came but stopped here by this island because our ship broke down. فقال, then he asked them, هل بعث فيكم النبي? Did God send the prophet? They said, yes. We were going to meet him. قالوا نعم. قال فهل اتبعه العرب? And they asked him another question. Did the Arab follow him? They said yes, they followed him. And this is around the 9th year of the Hijrah, where a lot of people accepted Islam. So a lot of people accepted Islam. So they were not like. قالوا نعم. قال ذلك خير لهم. He responded, this is the best for them to follow the Prophet. And then he asked a question. فما فعلت فارس هل ظهر عليها? What happened with Persia? Did he defeat Persia? They said, no. He said, he will conquer and defeat Persia. ثم قال, then he asked them, ما فعلت عين زغر? It's a famous spring, natural spring in Arabia. It's by the name Zaghar. Famous one. He asked about it. He says, is it still running? Still, bringing water out? They said, yes. It's full of water. Then he asked about the palm trees of Bisan. Bisan is a town in Palestine. Bisan is a famous town in Palestine. He asked about the palm trees of Bisan. Does it give produce now? They said, yes. Just started to give produce. Then they say, or the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, he jumped. That everyone fear that he will break the shackle or the chain and come loose. Alright? فالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إيش؟ قال فوثب وثبة حتى ظننا أنه سيفلت. He jumped very quickly that we thought that he will break, the chains and he will become loose. Then they start asking questions. Who are you? من أنت? فقال أنا الدجال. I'm the false Messiah. أما, he continues saying, أما أني سأطأ الأرض كلها غير مكة وطيبة. I will go around all over the earth except Mecca and Taiba. Taiba is another name of Medina. So Mecca and Medina he will never enter. Then the Prophet ﷺ said at the end of the hadith, فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أبشروا معاشر المسلمين هذه طيبة لا يدخلها. The Prophet ﷺ bringing glad tidings to the Muslimin, or the believers who is addressing them in Medina. He says, Abshiru, this is a glad tidings for you. Be cheerful, be happy that he will never enter Mecca and Medina, particularly Medina. Tamim al-Dari was a great Sahabi. He didn't live a lot with the Prophet ﷺ, but he was the only Sahabi that the Prophet ﷺ narrated from him. What a great honor. This is for a starter. He was very positive in da'wah. He was very positive. So the moment he entered Medina, even though he's a latecomer, a new arrival, like we see these days, refugees coming. Of course, different way of comparison. There's no way of comparison. But we see people coming late to Australia, for example, and they work hard. They prove themselves, right? Even though they came late, and people were born here and they didn't prove themselves yet. Not saying something wrong about this, but this is subhanallah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Tamim, he came and he saw the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used palm leaves to light it up at night time as candles. So he made siraj, which is lanterns. He invented the lanterns, or probably before he learned about it before, and he brought it to the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam using oil and lanterns to lit the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make it beautiful at night time. And the Prophet when he came in, he asked, "Who did this?" Tamim said, "This is my son. His name such and such." And the Prophet said, "No, his name is Siraj. His name is Siraj. Siraj means a source of light. A source of light." So the Prophet gave him the name of Siraj because they did a good job lighting the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tamim was very wara', means someone who is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of Sahaba reported that he sometimes, like this Sahaba Masruq said, that one of the people of Mecca swear by Allah that he saw Tamim al-Dari in his home at night time recite one ayah all night until morning, until Fajr time. He witnessed that for him. And the ayah was أَمْ حَسِبَ الَّذِينَ اجْتَرَحُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ أَنْ نَجْعَلَهُمْ كَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَوَاءً مَحْيَاهُمْ وَمَمَاتُهُمْ سَاءَ مَا يَحْكُمُونَ. He kept repeating and reciting this ayah because it has connection with his heart. It made him connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he kept repeating overnight, all night until Fajr time. وفي شعب الإيمان أن تميم الداري كان يختم القرآن كل 7. In the book of شعب الإيمان, narrated that Tamim al-Dari used to finish the Quran, the whole entire Quran, every 7 days. Every week, he probably finished the Quran. So he has one khatma every week. And another Sahabi, Safwan ibn Salim, قال قام تميم الداري في المسجد بعد أن صلى العشاء. This time it's in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After we finished Salat al-Isha, he stood up and he started praying, night prayer. And when he reached this ayah, تلفح وجوههم النار وهم فيها كالحون, Surah Al-Mamnun, he kept repeating it until Fajr time came. So he left him in the masjid after Isha, reading the ayah, and went home. Came for Fajr, and he was still standing there reading the ayah and weeping.
What was the ayah, sorry?
The ayah was تلفح وجوههم النار وهم فيها كالحون. تلفح وجوههم النار وهم فيها كالحون. One of the positive things about Tamim al-Dari, not just lighting up the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was one of the people to suggest to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to build a pulpit for him. A pulpit. A minbar where he climbed and give his speech and khutbah. He was the first one to advise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this. Subhanallah. And he helped building that for the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another story about Tamim al-Dari. This from Ikrimah. He said that ما أسلم تميم قال يا رسول الله إن الله مظهرك على الأرض كلها. After he accepted Islam, he went to the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you victorious and you will reach places. When you reach my town or my village in Bayt Lahm, from Bayt Lahm, please, habha li, write it for me. This is even before Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam conquered Palestine. He said habha li, and this didn't even happen at the time of the Prophet. This happened at time later on, time of Umar radiallahu anhu. So the Prophet ﷺ wrote him a kitab. He wrote him a paper. Not himself, but one of his katib of Rasulullah ﷺ wrote that paper that when the Muslim conquered Palestine, the village of Bayt Lahm is to belong to Tamim al-Dari. And at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, Tamim came to Umar and says, after Allah opened for them doors and they conquered Palestine, he said to him, he showed him the paper, he said, I was witnessing that day. And he gave it to him. He was always a righteous person. He always used to call people to practice and read the Quran and ponder and contemplate in the Quran. And one day, another Sahabi, he saw him feeding and like when they have horses and camels, they actually mix food together it's called aliqa. They mix it together with their hands so they can feed the animals. But most of the people, they use they helpers. People hire people to do it for them. They don't do it themselves because it takes a lot of effort. So someone saw him doing it by himself. And he said, Ya Aba Ruqayya, this is his nickname, أما لك من يكفيك? Don't you just get someone to help you with this? He said, بلى, I can. ولكن سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من ارتبط فرسا في سبيل الله يعالج عليقه بيده كان له بكل حبة حسنة. He heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم hadith that whoever mix the seed and the food for his horse that can be used for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every seed in that aliq, in that food mix, he will receive a good deed for it. So he want a good reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he narrated this hadith today that we're going to talk about, which is عن أبي رقية تميم بن أوس الداري رضي الله عنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الدين النصيحة. قلنا لمن؟ قال لله ولكتابه ولرسوله ولأئمة المسلمين وعامته. حديث صحيح مسلم. On the authority of Abu Tamim al-Dari رضي الله عنه, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, religion is nasiha. Sahaba said, to whom? The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم responded, to Allah and His book and His messenger and to the leaders of the Muslim and their common folks. Again, religion is nasiha.
What's the meaning of nasiha?
I will explain it, inshallah. Nasiha. The Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba said to whom? The Prophet ﷺ said, to Allah, to His book, to His messenger, to the leader of the Muslims, and to the common folk. The word nasiha cannot be accurately translated to English because it is a broad concept which cannot be traced in English language. Some use the term sincerity. It can just refer to one aspect of it, but not the whole aspect of the word nasiha. Okay? Some part of it, some aspect of it, it means to negate deception, cheating. According to Imam Ibn al-Salah, Imam Ibn Salah, he said nasiha is truly seeking the best in terms of intention and action for the one whom he is making nasiha to. Again, Imam Ibn Salah said nasiha is truly seeking the best in terms of intention and action for the one whom he is making nasiha to. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the hadith that nasiha to Allah. What does that mean? The nasiha should be first to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This includes the fulfillment of the obligation in the best way possible. Trying your best to reach the level of, what is the highest level? Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. So nasiha is your way to reach the level of Ihsan. And this should be the goal for every one of us. Every Muslim should have that goal to reach the level of Ihsan. This also includes striving to get as close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as possible by doing not only the obligation but also the preferable good deeds. Not just the 5 daily prayers, but Sunan al-Rawatib, Qiyam al-Layl, Salat al-Witr, Salat al-Duha, fasting, not just fasting Ramadan, fasting Monday and Thursday, fasting Ashura, fasting the day of Arafah, right? Fasting the 3 days of each month, right? So it's not just doing the compulsory parts, but also trying your best to do the preferable parts, the preferable acts. And also by forbidding the forbidden, so you stay away from haram. And also avoiding the dislikes acts. So anything that you have mashbuh, you have doubts about it, remember the hadith we talked about it? Doubtful things, you stay away from it. Because when you stay away from it, that will help you to reach the level of ihsan. Right? So nasiha to Allah also involves believing in Allah and denying any partner with Him. That's number 1. La ilaha illallah. Number 2, believing in His attributes. Tawheed al-asma'i was-sifat. Alright? We should, spend time reading the 99 names of Allah, trying to study them, learn the meaning of them, memorize them, because this is part of our tawheed. Right? Obeying Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fulfilling His commands and abstaining from what He has forbidden. It's very important. You do good deeds and also you stay away from haram deeds. Doing what is best to remember Him under all circumstances. Loving whatever he loves and hating whatever he dislikes. Be it objects, persons, actions, sayings. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes actions, we have to dislike it from our heart. Right? Or things, we have to dislike it with our heart. Recognizing the blessing He has bestowed upon us and probably thanking Him for these blessings. To do nasiha to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one should have the correct intention in one's heart to fulfill the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Intention. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Intention in everything we do. This brings sincerity closer and closer every time. When you renew your intention, this is the first step to bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a good deed with bad intention is ruined. It means nothing. That's why the Prophet advised us to renew our intention all the time before we are about to do any good deeds. And the dua is famous. The Prophet used to say in Adhkar Sabah and Masa as well. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك أن نشرك بك شيئا نعلمه ونستغفرك لما لا نعلم. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in you from associating any partners with you that we know, and we seek your forgiveness for things that we don't know. This is a great dua by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam every time we are about to do any good deeds, because Shaitan will always try to find his ways to our hearts, to ruin our good deeds, to make it unseen, unacceptable. Right? May Allah keep us safe. Ameen. So, to do nasiha to Allah, one should have the correct intention in one's heart to fulfill the rights of Allah, even when one is excused and it's beyond one's ability. This is a very good point, because sometimes under necessity, you have to do the wrong thing to save your life, for example. Like we are required to, not or forbidden to eat haram, but sometimes we are allowed to save our life. إلا ما اضطررتم إليه من اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف للإثم فلا إثم عليه. Right? But the intention now play a major role. Some people say, I was waiting for this moment. I'm lost in the desert. Now it's only pork in front of me and alcohol. It is my time to enjoy myself. Right? So it's your intention. If you approach it with that intention, with that approach, with that mentality, of course you are a sinner. Right? That's why the ulama, the scholar says in this particular incident, you only eat what can sustain you. You don't fill your stomach with haram. Just to save your life, to keep yourself alive, just enough to sustain you. If you eat too much, you become crossing to the haram side. Right? So intention play a major role in this. Okay? So even when one is excused and it's beyond one's ability to perform these obligations, sometimes a person may not be able to perform an obligation, but at least has good intention in his heart to fulfill it in the first place. Some people can't go for Hajj, but their heart longing every day and every night. Every year when Hajj time comes, they feel this sits out of them. They wish they have the means, they have the money, that they can go. Right? This person, he's excused. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Right? Only if you're able to, you can do it. And he's not able to. Financially can't do it. Right? So he's excused. He will never be judged for this. But his intention, is, he wants to be there. He's feeling sad and upset every year comes. Sometimes feel jealous. And in a good way. غبطة. Alright? So, intention again, play a major role. This is part of the nasihah. This is part of the sincerity. The action of the hearts, to have hope in Allah's mercy, to trust Him, to fear Him, and to seek refuge in Him. And the actions of the body, the limbs, prayers, zakat, etc. also fall under nasiha to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you fulfill those actions, you correct your heart's actions, you correct your body actions, this is fall under the nasiha of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Honesty is also another aspect of this great concept of nasiha. In whatever we do, we should always be honest with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, with ikhlas, sincerity. In fact, ikhlas should be the first thing that a Muslim should attain when we talk about nasiha to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the basics. Ikhlas. Because without ikhlas, it's one of the main two conditions. Ikhlas and yes, ikhlas which intention, and ikhlas, and the second condition is ittiba'. We mentioned that before. Ikhlas and ittiba', these are the two conditions for any good deed to be accepted. Without these two conditions, good deed will not be accepted. Ikhlas, sincerity, and good intention, and ittiba', following the right example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're not inventing something. Last week we spoke about مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ, the hadith of Aisha رضي الله عنها. Right? فهو رد. Whoever invented in our matter, referring to Islam, what is not part of it, it is returned to him. It's not accepted. Okay? So we have to be careful with this because this is part of nasiha. Ikhlas and ittiba'. Nasiha to Allah's book. This includes believing in the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's for sure. That is the word of Allah. And whoever does not believe that, he's not a Muslim anymore. So we're talking about the basics. So believing in the Quran that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is the actual word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being revealed to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's not the word of a man. And no one can produce something like that. Okay? According to one's ability to read and recite the Quran and to practice it. We're all required to do that. According to our abilities. And we are required to learn. Okay? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. This is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advising us that the best one among my ummah are those who learn the Quran and teach it. So we need to put effort for the sake of reaching closer to nasiha of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nasiha of His book, and also teaching our children and our next generation how to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His book. Right? There's so many hadith about the Quran. We mentioned that before. So many hadith. Those who struggle reading the Quran get double reward. And the reward 10 good deeds per letter. So many hadith to encourage people about the Quran. I won't have to repeat it again. Okay? So to study it's haram and halal and listen and parables. Calling others to believe in the Quran. It's our job. Talk to people, try to speak to their logic and tell them passages and verses in the Quran that can actually convince them about Islam. There's so many parts of the Quran that actually proven scientific facts. We don't have to rely on any scientific fact. We believe in the Quran as the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't need any proof. But sometimes some people, when you talk to them, it is good that you learn these facts or scientific facts in the Quran, because people only think of logic. Some people think that way. So you have the tools so you can talk to them. Okay? And this is part of nasiha to the Quran. This is part of the sincerity of the Quran. Defending the Quran against any false claims made against it. Right? If someone came to you and said bad things about the Quran, you have to defend it. It's the book of Allah. It's your book was sent to you, being preserved until the day of judgment. Right? Having a proper respect and treating to the Quran in a proper manner. For example, be careful not to throw away a piece of the paper as the Quran in it. This is, things that not many people pay attention to these things. Paper of the Quran, they throw it in a bin. You can't do that. You have to respect it. It's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay?
How do you dispose it? Is it by burning it?
Yes, either burning it or bury it.
Bury it.
Yeah, or cut it into small pieces that doesn't have the word of Allah in it. Yeah. But burning it is a good option. Nasiha to his messenger. This includes believing in the Prophet ﷺ and his message. That's the basic again. Believing in all that he brought as being divinely inspired. Everything the Prophet ﷺ, all of his sunnah, his saying, his actions, his approval are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's for sure. Right? It's all revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone would say, what is the difference between the Quran and the Hadith then? Do you know the difference between the Quran and the Hadith? So the meaning being conveyed to the Prophet ﷺ. Sorry?
The Hadith is by the action of Prophet, whatever is in the Quran.
So the meaning of the Quran meaning and words being conveyed to the Prophet ﷺ as the actual and true word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the meaning and the words being conveyed as it is to the Prophet ﷺ, revealed to him by Jibreel, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by Jibreel alayhi salam, as it is. But the hadith are the meaning we convey to the Prophet ﷺ but interpreted into his words, his actions, and his approval. Right? So this is the small difference. Another difference that we recite the Quran in the Salah, but we don't recite hadith, do we? Can we recite hadith in the Salah? No. We only recite the Quran, Fatiha, and the short surah after. Okay? But Allah says that in the Quran, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Allah said this about the Prophet ﷺ. He does not speak out of his own desire, but is a divine guidance was sent down to him. A divine revelation was sent down to him. وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. This is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To whatever the Prophet has given you, take it, follow it, and whatever the Prophet has forbidden you, don't be forbidden. Okay, so doing nasiha to Allah's Messenger is fulfilling his words, following his example. Alright? Trying to be inspired by his words and his actions. Loving him more than we love ourselves. This is part of our iman. Right? To love the Prophet ﷺ more than ourselves, more than our families. More than anything. And the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم. If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to love his messenger. You need to follow his messenger. Right? And after that, Allah loves you back. Allah forgive your sins. So our love for the Prophet ﷺ should lead to other obligation like obeying him. When you love someone, you tend to follow him. Right? Helping him and defending him for those who were alive during his time. This is for the Sahaba. And we saw that vividly into the seerah of Rasulullah. How the Sahaba loved the Prophet ﷺ. In many hadith, in many occasions, they would do anything to protect him, to stay by him, stand by him, to just, some of the Sahaba would, ask the Prophet ﷺ to take off, to give them his clothes so they can wear it, or being covered, used as a shroud for the death after. That story, when a man came and gifted the Prophet ﷺ a hulla from Yemen, and it was a beautiful one. So the man came, this Sahabi, the Sahaba was sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, the man came and asked the Prophet, can you give it to me, Rasulullah? And the Sahaba said, what are you doing, man? What are you asking for? You just got it. It's a prison. But when he explained later why he needs it for, that he wanted to be covered with it when he passed away. This is how much he loved the Prophet ﷺ. He wanted just a piece of him with it in his grave. Right? The love of Rasulullah among the Sahaba, we can't describe it. It is great. And we try our best to imitate that love. When you love someone, you tend to be with them. Many people say, I wish to see the Prophet ﷺ in my dream. Because we know people see sometimes. People would see the Prophet ﷺ in their dream. And if you see the Prophet ﷺ in your dream, you're lucky, you've seen him. Shaitan cannot come in the shape of the Prophet. That's a fact. Right? So people would say, I wish I would see the Prophet ﷺ in my dream. But if you wish to see him, you need to think about him all the time. When you're thinking about someone, you'll start thinking about them in your dreams as well, and then you probably see them in your dream. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever fulfilled all of his commands, trying to do all of the things that he requires you to do, and think about him, all the time, constantly, and then he will come and see you in your dream. Right? Part of the nasiha of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam whenever his name is mentioned. This is what the Prophet commands us in the hadith. Do not be stingy. When my name is heard, been mentioned, say, send salah and salam. Right? And on Friday, it is sunnah to send a lot of salah and salam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A lot of salah and salam to the Prophet. Make it as a good habit. Especially on Friday. Spend some time just to sit and just to recite Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Part of the nasiha to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to accept his sunnah as a scale by which we judge things, actions and sayings. So everything we refer it, to the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah. فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, what Allah says in the Quran, when you have a conflict, when you have a dispute, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ, return it back to Allah and His Messenger, meaning the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah. You will find that answer. So when we have the scale, the Quran and the Sunnah as a scale, to judge our actions before we do anything, we have to make sure this is not bid'ah, this is not haram, this is acceptable, this is preferable. This is judging, this is muhasabatin, this is one of the good character of Muslims. One of the good things that Muslims should acquire as a good character, muhasabatin nafs all the time. Right? And Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, حاسبوا أنفسكم قبل أن تحاسبوا وزنوا أعمالكم قبل أن توزن عليكم. Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, hold yourself accountable before you will be held accountable on the day of judgment for your deeds. And weigh your deeds before they will be weighed in front of you on the day of judgment. Very smart approach from Umar radiallahu anhu. Very good advice. You know, that's everyone. You should do that. Everyone. Before you go to bed, just have a flashback of your day. The things that you did. Try to remember the things that you did. Do muhasabah. Did you pray your 5 daily prayers on time? Did you pray the sunnahs, 12 raka'at? Did you fast today? It was Monday. Did you help your parents? Did you be kind to someone? Did you plant a tree? Did you give charity? You know, these good things. And other good bad things. Did you miss a salah? You know? Did you look at haram? Did you listen to haram? Did you disobey your parents? Did you be unkind to someone? This is muhasabat al-nafs. And remember, you know, you're doing the calculation in your head. And you'll end up with a figure, right? When we do this, you'll end up a figure, whether more good deeds or bad deeds. And you have like a roughly estimation of how many good deeds or bad deeds, right? And then the next day you'll be encouraged to maybe, I have so much bad deeds, I need to catch up tomorrow. Or maybe I have too much bad deeds, I should, you know, before I go to sleep, I should go do istighfar, do tawbah, pray 2 raka'at, you know, qiyamul layl, maybe عسى Allah أن يغفر لي, hoping that Allah will forgive you, right? So this is muhasabat an-nafs, a very great concept for the Muslim to follow. So when we use the Quran and the Sunnah as a scale of muhasabat an-nafs, for our action, for our saying, for even our intentions, right? The diseases of the heart to be purified. To accept Rasulullah ﷺ as a true leader and only human's final word with respect to the religion. He was the sealed of all prophets. Okay? And he was the only true human authority, and everyone's else statement, opinions come after his. So if someone, you know, tell you this is what I should think about it in this situation, I should do this, I should do that. And you tell him this is what the Prophet ﷺ said in the Sahih Hadith, and goes against this person's statement to say, this person's statement means nothing now, because we have evidence from the Sunnah, the saying of Rasulullah ﷺ. And that's why the scholar says, لا اجتهاد مع نص. Those for the scholars of Sharia, when they trying to find a solution for any mas'ala, any problem to solve it, and while they're searching, they found an evidence against what they were thinking is the true thing to do. And then when they found the evidence, then they have to ditch everything. Ijtihad, khalas, it's finished. Right? To love those who love him and hate those who hate him. This is part of Nasiha Rasulullah. This is wala' al-bara. Right? This is the basic of our deen. Those who love the Prophet, we love them. Those who hate the Prophet, we hate them. Simple. And nothing wrong with that. Don't be shy, don't be ashamed of saying this. Nothing wrong with it. This is part of our deen. Reviving his sunnah by learning, understanding and teaching and spreading it. The Prophet ﷺ told us in the hadith, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ. Convey, he said in the hadith, convey the message from me, even if it's just one single verse. You're not required to be allama, alim, muta'allim, to just give nasiha, or to advise someone about Islam. No. Who said that? We all can advise each other. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. help each other to do the right thing and help each other to forbid the wrong thing. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف. This is to the nida, the khitab to all ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to every single person, whether a scholar, whether knowledgeable or non-knowledgeable, right? To give da'wah, to enjoin good, to the best of your ability. You learn one hadith, then you preach it. You know, smiling is a charity, right? You can say that to someone. And if that person start practicing it, you get the reward too, right? Teach the Quran, for example, a surah from the Quran, and this is why it's important for all parents, you know, to teach your children Surah Al-Fatiha before anyone else. Before anyone else. Why? It's the most recited surah in our life, right? We recite it how many times every day? Every time your child recites Al-Fatiha, you get the reward automatically. Automatically. So it's try your best, you know, to convey the message. Even if it's a simple, small, short message, but it could have a great significance for this person. You know, it could change his life. You don't know. Try your best to stay away from any bid'ah. Anything that not going accordingly to the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah, you stay away from it. Okay? And try to do your best to denounce those actions and to warn people against those people doing bid'ah. It is our right. You know, you see someone is a mubtada, see someone who's famously, people start, you know, having believing in him and he doing the wrong things, bid'ah. You have to warn people. There's nothing wrong with this. There's no ghaiba in this situation. Because you want to warn people about this person who is, you know, committing bad deeds and calling people to do it. He's not just doing it on his own, but he's actually promoting haram or bid'ah and calling for it. Then you can go and advise him first. If you stop, that's good. If you didn't, then you warn people from him, not to follow him, not to be around him. Okay? So it's our business, our job to educate people about the right and authentic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should be very careful not to confuse them by focusing on minor issues. Sunnah can be broken into different levels, and we should start from the highest level, and we should not teach people about the lower levels, details, when they haven't been taught the higher levels, basic concepts. So you start from the basic concepts first, before you go into details, right? And someone who's accepted Islam yesterday, and you want him to do everything, to have a siwak, to do a night prayer every night, to fast three days a month, fast Monday and Thursday. So you give him everything, slowly, gradually. All right, you start from the basics. You know, you could teach him like the dua that he should say when he entered the bathroom. That's good for maybe some good time. If he practices dua and memorize it and say it, this is a sunnah of Rasulullah. Simple thing, but it's a sunnah of Rasulullah. Right? So you start with the basics. Nasiha to Rasulullah is to love both his family and his companions. Most Islamic sects love one or the other and not both. I'm talking about other sects, not the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Some people have, they start accusing the family of Rasulullah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Accusing the family of Rasulullah doing haram things. Accusing the Sahaba, great Sahaba, from doing haram things. How can you claim the love of Rasulullah and accusing him in his family? How can you? And I can't believe this mentality. Wallahi, I can't. Yani people claim that they love Rasulullah. They love the household of Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt. They say that day and night. And at the same time, they attack the household of Rasulullah. What are you? It just doesn't make sense. Our duty to love Rasulullah, to love those who follow his sunnah and defend and strive to revive the sunnah of Rasulullah. The other part of the hadith is nasiha to the Muslim leaders. The word leader stands for both ulama and those in authority at all levels. Ahlul Halli wal Aqd. Nasiha should be given to all leaders, no matter how high or what the ranking is. No one is above the law in Islam, and no one is above the needing advice. Simple as that. Nasiha is for the benefit of anyone who is in authority. This means that a ruler, leader, or a scholar should be the first to accept sincere advice. And this is something we lack these days. You go and tell someone, you're wrong, the people take it very seriously and they start attacking back. Right?
How do you handle such a situation then?
Well, you do your part. You do your part. I know there's times it's very difficult. You say the haqq. If you're in a situation and you've been put into that situation in front of you, then you have to react accordingly. I know sometimes if you fear for your life, this is a different situation. And I have evidence from the Sunnah of Rasulullah. There's two Sahaba were held captive at the time of the Prophet when he was still in Mecca. And the kuffar start beating them, just to say bad words about the Prophet. One of them took azima. He said, no matter what you do to me, I will never insult the Prophet. I won't say anything bad about him. You can do whatever. You can take my life, I don't care. He was very strong. He had strong iman. Right? And he took the azima. Right? Took the hardest way. And then they killed him. The other one saw this happening. He said, I will say whatever, just let me go. And he went crying to the Prophet. He thought that he denounced his Islam and he's not a Muslim anymore. He went to the Prophet. Look at the compassion of Allah and how the Sahaba reacted. He was in tears. He was worried. So he went to the Prophet and he says, this is what happened. And I said this. The Prophet asked him a very critical question. He said, how was your heart when you said it? This is to explain what? Nasiha again. Sincerity, ikhlas, aqal. The one who controls everything. Right? How did your heart feel when you said it? He said, full of love to you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, look, the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, وَإِنْ عَادُوا فَعَلْ. If they come back and treat you like that, then do it to save yourself. Right? So if you are in a situation like they're gonna kidnap you, like it's happening all the time now, unfortunately, people stand and we see a lot of our brothers, a lot of our family members being killed because they stood for the haqq against the unjust ruler, being dragged from their homes and kidnapped, and no one knows where they are now. We've seen that happening all the time. Right? There is no just. But if you have the ability to stand against the dhulm, the injustice, it is part of our deen. This is part of our nasiha to the leader of the Muslim. If the leader does not fear Allah in his people, we have to stand and say, you fear Allah at least. Do the right thing. Stop killing people. Stop kidnapping people. Stop wasting people's money. And subhanAllah, we found this a lot here in Australia, in the places where Islam is not a prominent religion. Unfortunately, sadly, see how people, they stand in front of the biggest head in the state and tell them you're wrong, you've done something wrong. This is when the power in the hands of the people, right? They tell them you're wrong, and they're not scared for themselves. They're not scared to be kidnapped or killed. Anyway, it's very, Allah keep us all safe. So doing nasiha to the leaders, the ulama or scholars of Muslimin, helping them in whatever is good or beneficial, obeying them in what is right. So this is also, if they ask you to do the right thing, it is good to obey them and do the right thing. Reminding them if they should, if they've done something wrong, you need to remind them. Being patient with them if they do things which we dislike. We've been patient for years. We try to do the nasiha, and at the same time we tolerate the leaders because otherwise it may lead to instability in the Muslim community. So you have to, there's other things that, other aspects you look into it. You know, if if you make a protest, for example, and that protest will divide the people, will bring injustice more to the people, then you have to think about the outcomes as well. But if this is the only way to stop unjust leader, then do it. Okay? And you also should pray for their guidance, that Allah guide them and bring them closer to Islam, because when they are guided, the whole people will be happy. And one of the 7 types of people will be under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a just ruler. Someone who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his people. He will be under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So last one, because I know we took so long time now. Nasiha to the common folk of the Muslims, to include, to observe the right of the other Muslims, fulfilling our obligation towards other Muslims. This obligation differs depending on the group of Muslims. Meaning your parents have more rights than anyone else. Your children, relatives, neighbors, they like in categories. Greeting them, visiting them when they are sick, following the janazah, making dua for them. These are the rights of the Muslim upon us. And it's part of the nasiha to the folk of the Muslims. Okay? To observe the concept of wala, which means to love every Muslim, to care for every Muslim, to help other Muslims, to defend and protect other Muslims. This is wala, a very basic concept of our deen. Okay? Alhamdulillah, all of us, we have this. You see videos overseas and what's happening, we feel, most of us cries and most of us do the best to remove the hardship from our brothers and sisters overseas. We do whatever we can to the best of our ability by dua, donation and things like that. And this shows love and compassion to them, and this is wala. Alright? Because if you don't love, you will not care. That's a fact. And if you don't care, you will not help. And if you don't help, you will not protect. So the reason why so many Muslims today do not care or help others is because there is something wrong with the wala aspect of love. It all comes from here, again, to the heart. If you don't love, that means you don't care. If you don't care, you won't help. That's it. So we need to fix that first, to bring that love and compassion again among, our Prophet mentioned that in many hadith. مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتعاطفهم كمثل الجسد الواحد أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. The parable of the Muslim is like one, and the love and compassion is like one whole body. When one part of your body, when your teeth feel ache, the whole body you feel the fever. You feel hot, you can't sleep, all the body, right? So look at the description the Prophet put in this hadith. Beautiful example. We should be like this all the time when dealing with other Muslims. So the conclusion for this hadith, from exploring all the obligations mentioned above, or mentioned today, we have seen that nasiha encompasses everything in Islam, iman and ihsan. Cover all the aspects. That's the proper meaning of nasiha, not just sincerity. So it's all the aspects of our religion: Islam, iman, and ihsan. Any questions? اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك على سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات ورافع الدرجات. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا بل لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. See you next week إن شاء الله.